yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm, yeah. Born and dead, saved by love, count my blessing from above. Though in darkness, have no fear. Light will shine on those holding near. They know that sorrow they will pass. For I know in this life there will be something. But remember that love, yes it will. Love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. Love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. In my heart, I believe it. Love will reign. Love will reign. Oh, yeah. Love will reign. Yeah. Have a vision. It's clear and plain. People live and laugh, smiling again. Oh, see the children, they know no pain. Far from pressure, stress and strain. Oh, sorrow, they will pass. For I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. But remember that love, yes it will. I know, yeah. Love will reign. Gotta believe it. In my heart, I truly believe. Sun will shine again, and love, I can hardly wait. In the light of the sun, we'll all be together. There'll be peace, peace, sweet peace. There'll be peace, happiness and joy forever. Oh. One day, someday, pain will be over and love will reign. They won't last, for I know in this life there's gonna be some pain. In the end, love will reign. Yeah. Love will reign. Said it in His word. We've been made. Endure the night. Love will conquer all. Love will win the fight. So don't be discouraged. Don't be dismayed. The darkest hour just before the light. Hate will be crushed, fear will be gone, love will remain and go on and on. Though the road seems rough, my friend, we know how the journey ends. Oh, yeah. Love will reign. Love will reign. Oh, love will reign. Love will reign.
Love Will Reign. It is one of our favorite songs here in the Love and Stuff community. I'm Marcus Holmes the Love Activist, and I'm excited to be here with you again in another episode of Love and Stuff. So, whether you're watching us live here on Facebook, on the Marcus Our Homes page, or the Love and Stuff community page from which we emanate, and any of the love groups and all of them that we're connected to, if you're watching us on Instagram or Twitch TV or YouTube events, I'm so grateful that you're here, and I hope that you will click share and tag someone to join us. We're back from the inbox again today, and I hope that you will click share and tag some folks to join us in this inbox discussion. I'm going to pin, I hit something wrong, but I'm going to pin the topic there. I may have hit an extra button there, and I'm going to pin the topic, I think, here, and hopefully you'll be able to see it everywhere. All right. Looks like it's pinned in a couple places. All right, very good. Let's see if we can pin it there. All right, pinning the topic here. See if it'll let me pin the topic. I'm trying to pin. Okay. All right, thank you for being here. I think that's how we pin it. All right, it's pinned. All right. From the inbox, important consideration, I think. There are so many blended families and opportunities for families to really come together in a way that will bring long-term happiness and joy. And so many things we can allow so many things to get in the way of that. So I want you to think about it as you're clicking share and tagging some folks to join us. What happens when love and family clashes over a future or current home? We're going to unpack some dynamics tonight between a successful, college-educated woman and her fiance, a tall, dark, and handsome, she says, man with financial savvy. And what happens in his proposal, it's more than a proposal to get married. He's proposing to do some things financially that will require her and her children to live a little differently. So he is proposing to pay off her mortgage and move in with a catch. And so I want you to stay tuned as we talk about this topic. She says, at 46, I've built a beautiful life. My home isn't just a place, it's a legacy where my 3 adult children and 3 grandchildren also live. Now I'm on the brink of a new chapter with my fiance, she says. He's everything I could ask for. Tall, dark, handsome, and brilliant, she says, with money. His plan, sell his paid off house, use half of the proceeds to pay off my mortgage, and invest the rest in rental properties and retirement. There's just one issue, she says. He insists that my children and grandchildren move out before we tie the knot. His reasoning is practical. He wants us to start fresh, focusing on our life. He even offered to buy another property and rent it to them. But for me, family is non-negotiable. How could I push them out when I've spent my life creating this home for them? This dilemma feels like an impossible choice between love and loyalty, legacy, and letting go. So I want to hear from you. Both of them have been married before. They're both in their 40s, and they've both done considerably well. He seems to have a slightly better financial footing currently. And so he's proposed with the ring and all of the accoutrements. Excuse me. And he is willing to sell his debt-free home, his paid-off home, and put a certain amount into her home, which would satisfy her mortgage. Okay. And with the balance of the money, he then wants to put it toward their retirement or invest. So they're both still working, but he wants to put it toward their retirement and invest. But he's got a catch. He wants to live just the two of them, which he believes is important for them starting off a new marriage. But she has 3 adult children and their 3 children who currently live with her. And he says, well, we could work that out, and that we could buy a rental property and they could rent from us. So I want to hear from you. Is this a loyalty or letting go? Is this an impossible choice between love and loyalty? If you were in this situation, what would you do? And what advice would you provide to this 46-year-old woman who is putting her family first, but these are adult children? What are your thoughts? I have some key considerations that I want you to consider, that I think are key considerations that I would want her and him to consider. But I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Drop your thoughts in the comments and click share. I think that when you're getting into a relationship, and all of the couples that I know, all of you, shout out to all of you, because I can live vicariously through them and I've learned so much from them. Couples that have been together 60 years and 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Couples that have been remarried, who broke up and got back together. Couples who broke up and didn't get back together, but they were sharing lessons about what not to do. All of these are good and important lessons. And one of the things that, as I've talked to different couples, is when you're starting out, now there's bliss, there's love, there's infatuation, there's lust, there's all of the chemistry, right? But when you move to that commitment level, I think what I'm hearing as a continued theme as I've talked to couples is that you need to have as a key consideration for whatever move you're going to make, whatever navigation you're going to take, shared vision for the future. You got to come to some terms of shared vision. Can't be he's going to be over here and I'm going to be over there unless that's your shared vision, right? You got to align on what both partners want out of the marriage: spiritually, financially, financial freedom, stability, peace, emotional fulfillment, sexual, whatever, right? So this decision around living arrangements that they're approaching, it's not just impacting their life, right? It's impacting the entire family dynamic. But you have to have a shared vision for what that dynamic looks like and come to some agreement. Now, I believe this, and people may say, hey, they don't quite believe this, but this is something I almost would swear by it. I don't swear. You don't mess with Black peoples in particular. Men, women, mama, children, or money. And a Black mama, her children are her babies until Jesus comes and gets her and tucks her in on the other side. So you got to have a shared vision for what your future is, with a mother who has a vision for her family of legacy and them living in a home that she's built. From what she's described, I haven't seen pictures. It is a home that everybody can have their own bedroom with who's there now, including her and her husband. So it's not an issue of space as it relates to that, but there could be other issues right around space, family room, dining room, all of these accoutrements. It has all of that, right? But you got to have a shared vision. If your fiance wants peace and you want community, then you got to work through what peace and community looks like for both of you. Okay. We're talking straight from the inbox. This 46-year-old woman, dynamic woman, who has worked hard to build her legacy. And part of that in the American dream is a house, right? So she's gotten this house and it has all these bedrooms, and she has 3 grown children who have 3 children total, and they all live with her. But she's met the man of her second dreams. This is her second marriage. And he is willing to sell his house, which is debt-free, and pay off her mortgage and he's going to have money left to put toward retirement or a rental property, which he says he'd be willing to do to rent to her children. But they have to move out before they get married. So here's not quite the shared vision, right? You've gotten this far in the relationship, but this part of the vision, she clearly wants to have her children with her. And that's worth exploring, right? Now, we see many different ethnicities and nationalities do this all the time. They stay in deep, right? Until the next person is able to buy the business, buy the house, buy their own house. 10 people might live in that house, right? We see ethnicities doing that. You have an intergenerational family experience because they're caregiving, they're sandwich generation. So the older folks, the elders are being cared for, the younger folks are going out to get it, but they have a place where they can build their nest egg. And you don't see that as often in the African American community, but you do see it some places. And this isn't quite that case because two of the children have been, I'm going to call serial sleepers. They've been in and out of this experience of this house, but she wanted to have a place where they could always come. Okay. So a key consideration is, can you get to a shared vision for the future? And that would hold, I think, for any relationship. You got to have a shared vision about what you want for your future. Now, I must admit, when I first read this, I thought, what a good man who is going to sell his home, pay off her home, and be willing to use some of his money to buy a property instead of putting retirement for the kids. To me, that demonstrates that he really wants to make this work. He really is committed to making this work, even though there might still be room for some give and take, right? Another key consideration, and I'm looking for you to drop in the comments. Thank you, Gloria, for being here. Inside Love and Stuff. Thank you, Carmen Cox, for being here. Your name came across my mind for some reason, so I don't know if there is some health challenges. I'm not a prophet. Some health challenges around you. I may have seen in a post or something that I've seen. You're in our thoughts and prayers. I'm not so sure what I saw. Okay. But your name did come across my love mind, right? And so thank you for coming. Another key consideration you might want to consider are boundaries. This conversation of boundaries versus support. And it's a tricky situation because it's a natural inclination to want to help your adult children. Natural, perfectly fine. But it's also important to really evaluate, really assess if their prolonged stay in the home is for them to build and grow, or whether it's going to hinder that growth. Are you enabling those adult children if you allow them to stay without an exit plan, without they're building a business? I get it. Someone who's building a business, entrepreneurship is hard. That's why I think we should be voting for Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, for in her plan, she wants to help small businesses, which has been the crux of helping our economy. Of course, we got the 1% that's got all the money, right? Because it's tough to be an entrepreneur, solopreneur, to get out there and make it work. So I could see a parent allowing that adult child to build that nest egg, to build that money, save up that money, store up that money for the business. I could see where it is a great opportunity. And I see tons of great grandparents of grandparents who are great, you know what I'm saying, who are caring for their children's children, right? While they work, while they go back to school. And to have that almost live-in nanny, almost live-in papa, has been a game changer for many people. Child care is so expensive. Everything is so expensive, right? So having that extra support is important for any and everybody. But you got to ask yourself if you are fostering codependence, interdependence, or independence to prepare your adult children for their next life stage. Okay. We're talking about straight from the inbox. Evelyn Graham, so great to see you. Straight from the inbox, a 46-year-old woman who this is her second time being married, or she's getting married. Her fiance has proposed to her, and he's made an interesting proposal because she has 3 adult children who live with her, and she has 3 grandchildren. So 6 folks living with her. Her house is big enough to have 6 folks living with her. Amen. But her fiance, listen what he wants to do. He wants to pay off her house by selling his house, which is debt free. He has no mortgage. Selling his house, paying off her mortgage, and then using the balance of the money to either put toward retirement or buy a rental property so her adult children and grandchildren can rent from them. But she's not so set that she wants that arrangement because she wants her kids. She wants that community. And a part of the key consideration in their discussion should probably be, are these boundaries that we're beginning to set, or is this support? And does that support create an enablement that will hinder the growth of adult children versus allow them to flourish? Okay. And the third consideration among key considerations is financial and emotional balance, right? So the fiance is offering to invest in a rental property that would provide them long-term stability. But is there an emotional need that he's ignoring for whatever reasons that this mother has to her grown children? Now, I can share this, that this mother who was married before was widowed, okay? And that may play into the role of her wanting to this community of her adult children and holding them close. It could be an emotional need, whether it's a good one or maybe not so good one, depending on how you look at it. But it could be an emotional need that the fiance is not understanding that just putting money to it will not fulfill. So you got to weigh the importance of financial freedom against maintaining close family ties. And I should add at this point, while he was married before, he had no children from that marriage. So his thought of close family ties is different. That's why that shared vision for the future is so important, because if you don't have those family ties and don't want them or don't need them, and someone craves, longs, and has built their life upon them, you've got to come together and have a shared vision about what that future looks like for you. Okay. Those are, I believe, some important key considerations. Carmen, I thought that too. And thank you so much for being here. And I think this is a great comment. I'm going to add it to the screen because if I can find it on my screen. Carmen says, I was wondering if there was an underlying reason she wants her family right there with her. And that was one of the questions that I kind of had for her. Because now, again, something happened with my screen. Okay. Again, I believe the Black mama is a phenomenon in and of herself. She has reared the community, sometimes without the dad. So many things we can attribute of the greatness that have happened into our civilization is from the Black mama. And a Black mama is going to hover maybe a little bit over her children, know when they can be pushed out, know when they can be kept, know when they can come back in. That's the genius, the brilliance of the Black mama. If you don't have a Black mama, I really feel sad for you. Or if you didn't have one. I had one. She is resting with Jesus, I'm sure, if anybody made it. And I can tell you that there wouldn't be any place that she wouldn't go. Ain't no mountain high enough to keep me from you. That was my mama. And I don't think she's the only one. There are other, it's going crazy on my side. Is that happening on y'all seeing? Okay. A black mama will go to the highest heavens for her child. And a black mama was saying, well, she got out of a bad relationship, come back home. Well, she had that baby and no husband, come back home. Well, he trying to figure it out, come back home, right? And so that dynamic could be exacerbated, to Carmen's point, if she is holding some uh, emotion, some trauma, some scar, some banner in the name of that spouse that she lost, that passed away, right? And that's why that emotional need, understand, because this conversation isn't a new one. Men typically want to fix things. They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to vent about it. They want to know what we're going to do about it. And so a man says, oh, we got an issue here. Let me give you some money. Let's fix it. This is the way we fix it. I sell the house, pay off your mortgage, get them a smaller house because they, let them six find they way. Let me fix it. But sometimes in that fixing, it's not addressing what really needs to be fixed. And sometimes we don't even have the wherewithal to fix what needs to be fixed. Sometimes we don't even know that it's broken. And if we don't know it's broken, we could be putting the energies in the wrong thing, which can show up to the other person in a way that lands on them and breeds resentment. Because now it is, you're trying to make me choose between you and my children. And it's easy to see it that way. Even though someone could argue, and a lot of couples have, when you leave your mother and father, when you leave your surroundings, when you leave your background, I'm maybe embellishing, maybe I'm doing something to the text that non-preachers wouldn't do or shouldn't do. When you leave what was to cleave to what is, you leave that behind. This becomes a priority, right? And it's hard to tell a black mama that, no matter what the age of her children are. So you cannot just fix it. You really have to have some shared vision, going back to that key consideration, that guides your financial and emotional balance. Relationships, many of them from the couples that I've talked to, would be so much better if they both knew how to have emotional agility around finances, because women sometimes have an emotional attachment to finances, and men can too. And their emotions, what they care for, feel for, committed to, and find value in. And sometimes people are at different places in the same relationship over the very same things. One person has an attachment to something that is financial, and another person has an emotional attachment to something else, or emotional attachment to what somebody has a financial attachment to. Okay, so really important for those key considerations. Gloria says, he sell his home, let her adult children stay in her home. If it doesn't work out, mom can always come back to her home and keep the house he bought for him and his wife. Well, I think that's a good idea. He's selling the home, though, Gloria, I think, so that he can be with her in her home. But you're right. The thing is, the mom doesn't want to be without the kids. There is an emotional attachment that happens sometimes when there's the death of a spouse with the remaining spouse and the kids. And I just believe, and some will inbox me and I'll have to live through it, that there is no phenomenon like the black mama. And the black mama has a love that goes, I believe the black mamas in general, but the black mama is God's kiss to the earth, that this is what my unconditional love looks like after Jesus is not here. A black mother has an undying devotion and love to her children. And they could be in their 20s and not have it together, 30s and not have it together. And that black mama's going to still be praying and slide number 20 and saying, come over here and eat, you ain't got no food, and doing all of these things with the intent to support them to grow in life stages. And it may not have that impact, right? It could have a counter impact to that, right? I want you to click share right now and tag people to join us in the discussion. I think you all are making some wonderful comments, and I'm so pleased that you're sharing with us. I want to take a moment and go to Powerful Money Tools LLC. Christina, the money coach, will help you.
Welcome to Powerful Money Tools LLC. At Powerful Money Tools, we are here to prepare for your future. We want to talk about financial freedom. Financial freedom is budgeting, credit building, and also financial education. So, once again, welcome to Powerful Money Tools LLC. We can't wait to help you in your financial future.
Can't wait to help you in your financial future. That's Christina, the money coach. And listen, Christina's a member of our Love and Stuff community and inside Love and Stuff. And she's an entrepreneur who cares about helping you get your financial future in order. Credit building. You want credit repair. You want to be able to invest. You want to look at the insurances. Do you have the correct amount of insurance? You're trying to start your own business. You want to save money. Christina has helped many women, especially women, but many people in the Love and Stuff community get on a financial footing to move forward. And if you need some help, reach out to Powerful Money Tools LLC. Christina, the money coach, can't wait to help you. And we're so grateful to have her partnership here in the Love and Stuff community. We're talking from the inbox, a 46-year-old woman who has met the second man of her dreams, who she describes as tall, dark, handsome, and financial savvy. She says, brilliant with finance, she says. And he's made a proposal that she's not sure is the proposal for her. He's proposed to marry her with the whole big ring. I said I wouldn't say the carrot, but a really big ring. And he is willing to sell his home, which he has no debt, no mortgage on the home, and take half of that money and pay off her mortgage. But there's one catch. He wants those 3 adult children that are living with her and 3 grandchildren to move out. He's even willing to use the rest of the money or part of the rest of the money to buy a rental property so that they can rent. She's not so sure about this proposal because she's worked all her life, she says, to build a legacy, a home for her children who are now all adults, and some of them are parents themselves. Is this legacy versus loyalty? Is there some love missing in this consideration? What do you say? Gloria says, well, she needs to stay with her kids. Okay, I'll pull that up. I wouldn't expect my husband to want to live with my adult children. I think that's an interesting perspective, and I'd love to hear more. If you, sometimes we have an emotional attachment to people in our life. I made a post, Gloria, that I said, sometimes when we're living our lower self, we get attachments. And when we live our higher selves, we get assignments. And why I inject that here is because if we have an emotional attachment to even our children that is not healthy, we're really not living our higher selves. We're really not enabling them to live their best life, to grow and to go to their next stage, to be independent, interdependent. We might be enabling codependence, and that's living a little bit in your lower self. So they remain attached to you. And it could be more burden than blessing. Now, she says it's blessing that they've not given her any trouble except the in and out. Sometimes they might, she's got a daughter who, has had relationships that didn't work out and she came back. She had a child and she came back. She lost her job and she came back. So there is this, kind of transient nature, if you will, of her children coming back. But there could be an emotional attachment that's more a burden than a blessing. And it could be because, she's was once widowed, and that could certainly impact it. Carmen, I'm sorry I didn't see it. Thank you. Not sure if you saw, but I said that I wonder if the adult children feel the same as her. They may be fine to move out and maybe staying close because they're worried about her since her husband's passing. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. They're a little split on that, Carmen. I think the son is worried. The daughters see it as their place. So they're not as apt to move. The son is more apt to move, but he's worried about her. How is she? He stayed around. He's the one that contributes to some degree consistently to household expenses, which is why the fiance believes they could rent, and pay the rent. But the daughters don't seem to be as interested in moving. And one of the daughters doesn't have children. One of the daughters has 2 children, and the son has 1 child. Okay. So they're kind of mixed there, right? That this is a good situation for them, the daughters at least. Maybe the son too. Maybe it allows him to save some money. But I think if the mother decides that there's going to be some different model for support, then that will change. Okay, and thank you, Carmen, for that. I didn't want to miss your comment. I apologize if I did. It was a little slow for me getting out the gate there. So we talked about the shared vision. We talked about the boundaries versus support, and we talked about the financial, excuse me, and emotional balance, which I think are very important. It might be a blessing to get. You can't expect no grown man to put up with this. It sounds like she supports her. Adult children, they need to grow up. I think that's I think that is important. I think it is important. And so even still, right? I think there are some things that they could do as proposed solutions. Some of the solutions that I would propose, I want to hear the ones that you might propose. Because I believe, as I think I said earlier, if you have a man or woman who is invested and committed to the relationship enough that they would sell their home, I think that says a whole lot about that man, or would about any woman. You're committed to this relationship and you're willing to sell your home, because he could say, move in my home. Right? He could say, let's get a new home. He's saying, I'm going to sell my home and to come to where you feel most comfortable. I think it's fair to him then to develop some kind of transitional plan for these adult children. This is one of the proposed solutions that I would propose. And maybe you don't get married next year in 2025, or maybe the end of 2025, because you need to create, maybe with counselors involved, a detailed supportive plan for the kids to phase out, to gradually move out. And if the plan is for them to move into a place that is owned by their parents, so be it. But setting a realistic deadline or timeline and offering them help with the appropriate or corresponding budgeting or job search if needed, and in one case it is, and helping them find housing, right? Because this gradual transition can help the parents, step parent included, bonus dad, adjust emotionally while keeping the relationship intact. But the wife to be has to come to a place and say, this is a transitional plan for my adult children is the way to go. It gives them a chance to get ready to move. Okay. Evelyn says, I wouldn't want my new husband to stay with my adult children. Why not let him keep the house and we purchase another house? Yeah. I think Gloria said the same thing. And Carmen says, I'm with Gloria. She needs to stay with her children if she don't want to move forward with a new relationship. Yes. I think she might be pensive about moving forward. But I also think there are some things in this emotional connection that she's got to investigate. I think Carmen, I think you're spot on that there might be some underlying reason why she's holding on so tight. Okay. But developing a transitional plan with a counselor, I think in tow will help them to get all parties involved and not just, blow up the spot. Y'all got to go in 90 days. Kind of a transition plan to help them get their footing and get going in the next stage of their life. If they decide to have the children stay, which seems like a deal breaker for him. But they could create a structured living agreement if the house is big enough, right? It could outline the expectations, the contributions to household expenses where the son is already contributing, chores, privacy rules. This way, she could feel respected and they could live harmonious in a multi-generational living if he's open to that. Okay. They could explore the idea of a trial period where the kids move out for a period of time and see how that works out. It allows that couple to experience life, build their life together without the children, giving them time to evaluate and assess whether the arrangement would enhance their future plans. But I think there is going to have to be some compromise if the relationship is to go forward. Now, I hearken back to what I said at the beginning, which is something I think is just so important. When you're starting out on this love journey, and just about every couple that I've talked to, it is so critical that you get crystal clear on having a shared vision for your future. This might be something you do in your marital counseling. It doesn't have to be that, but it could be. That you begin to envision, where will we be 5 years down the road and what kind of life do we want to live? What's important to us? Is it important to us to be in community? Do we want communal living? Because there are ethnicities and nationalities that do this all the time. They live together, 10 people in the house, and each person saves to get their own house, right? They live 10 in the house. They build up their family business, right? They have some shared vision for their future. And in blended families, that's very important, especially where there's been a loss of a parent and there are adult children. There is a blending to the family where adults should have some psychological and emotional safe space to articulate their vision for the future and how it includes or excludes people from that vision. But you got to come to a place where you are clear on the shared vision for your life. That's number one. And of course, it's the thread that we say runs through love and stuff is communication, right? You got to say, this is what I envision. I'm going to marry you, and this is what I think our life will be like. This is what I want our life to be like down the road. This is the peace that I want. This is the stability that I want. This is the emotional support that I would want down the road. This is the health that I want. This is the wellness that I want. And build a shared vision for the future. Gloria says, that's why it's important to seek counseling before marriage. Some things can be avoided. My kids would not be there. If so, they can have the house and pay the mortgage. He buy us a house. She needs counseling. I wouldn't say that she doesn't. I think I tend to agree with you. But I think when you're in a situation, Gloria, sometimes That's why I think one of the beauties of Love and Stuff, it's hard for you to step out of yourself and see yourself, right? In your situation when you have had trauma, when you have had, and the loss of a spouse can be trauma depending. Um, Most people would say in every instance, but I can only speak about those that I know who have lost spouses. It can be trauma. And you are literally grappling for some semblance of peace and balance and stability as you had before. And your children could be a constant reminder of what you had before, and thus you hold on to them without knowing that that's what you're doing. You think I'm providing them a place to be, but they really are a placeholder for you not to have to live and deal with that trauma. Many people have done that with their adult sons, adult daughters, because they're feeling this spot, they're filling this void, they're filling this space. And to rip that apart brings them to an emotional shattering. It's like the shards of glass hitting the ground again, and I got to watch where I step. They find some solace, some peace, some stability in having the presence of their adult children. And so it's hard for them to step out of themselves and say, this could stand in the way of the happiness that I say I want with this person. I think this gentleman, and I don't know him, this is from the inbox, I think he's done a yeoman's job from where I stand to even say, I see what your children mean to you. And here's how I can meet you halfway. Pay off your house, which he does not have to do. He could say, that's your house, sell it, take your losses, come live with me, or let's buy another house, but that's your house. He's saying, I'm going to pay off your house and then use part of the balance of the proceeds to help your children who are important to you live near you, live in connection to you, but just not in the house where we're going to build our life. I think that's a great place to start. But I think he has to recognize that this is not purely financial. It's not a transaction, even though a lot of us are transactional. This is transformative because she has got to shift what she thinks her role is around legacy. If you go back to, harken back to what she dropped in the inbox, she's worked her life, she says, to build this life for her children. Going back to the shared vision, her life is about her children. And that's not uncommon for Black mamas. I'm going to have to do a show on Black mamas. I don't think I can wait till Mother's Day. But this phenomenon of Black mothers, and no disrespect to any other ethnicity or nationalities, it's a phenomenon, the way Black mothers love their children without measure, to the nth degree. And I think that's true for most mothers in general. It just appears Black mamas. It's anecdotal. I don't have statistics on the Black mama phenomenon, but Black mothers become custodians, they become guardians, they become financiers, they become counselors, they become pastors, they become bankers, they become investors, they become all of these things for their children. Sometimes an enablement, but many times in the hopes that they can help that child stand up on his or her own, move forward, be all that God has designed them to be. I don't think the mother sets out to say, I'm going to hover over my son so he ain't going to never have to cook. I'm going to wash his clothes. I was listening to someone at a memorial, a pastor. I won't even say his name, but if he sees this, he will know it's about him. And he was saying that my wife couldn't be here today. She wanted to be here, but she couldn't be here because our son, who is 20 years old, is at college. And once a month, she goes to his dorm room and cleans his dorm room and washes his clothes. He says, and he's 20 years old, but she couldn't be here because she had to be there. And I know all the mamas in here know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't mess with my baby. And the mamas laughed and said, amen. There is something to the Black mama. And I mean it as a good thing, in that a Black mama is going to do all that she can to be all that she can for her children. But in that, a Black mama has to make sure that these actions aren't enabling the opposite of what we will want for ourselves and for our children, Black mamas, right? Enabling them to be stuck, to be stagnant, and potentially to be in the way of your good thing. And so that's why I think the counseling aspect of this is pretty important, and not just to Gloria's point, before you get married, but for your own healing, right? Because if you find yourself in an emotional tight grip, emotional grip on those you love, there may be some unresolved issues around why you're doing that. And that could seek to hinder them from growing when your intent is really to have them grow, because it serves a need. We rarely do anything that doesn't serve us well. I know that doesn't sound like much sense, right? I am on a quest to eat less fried foods, but fried foods serve me well. You know why? Because the grease, and sometimes the sugar, because sometimes things have sweet things that are fried, have a little sweetness to them. It must serve me well, or I wouldn't eat it. It might not do me well, but it's fulfilling some need, or I wouldn't do it. And you're the same way. Any habit that you have, anything that you're doing now that you say, oh, I wish I could stop doing it, not until it doesn't serve you well. Whatever you're doing serves you to some level, or you would stop doing it. It won't be that I can't help it. If you really thought something was killing you, you would stop. But it's serving you well. It's giving you momentary pleasure. It's consoling some hurt, some pain. It's glossing over some trauma. And that, for whatever reasons in its space and time, serves us well. It's until we are unwell with what serves us that we can really come into a place where we can get some healing and wholeness and move ourselves forward. And imagine the number of mamas and or daddies that are navigating such a place where they haven't found wholeness for themselves. Imagine their impact on those who have become attachments to them. Because when you don't have that wholeness and you're unwell, you're living in your lower self. Your higher self is healthy, it's healed, it's well, it's anointed, it's called to something. And when you are called to something, when you're sitting in the center of your purpose, you get assignments. When you're living in your low self and not sure about yourself, and in unwholeness and unforgiveness and unwellness, you start to attach those that can latch on to where you are. And so that may very well be the case for this mother. I'm hopeful, because I think she has a good man from what she's shared, right? Kind of myopic view, right? A man who's willing to say, I want to make you happy, and this is what I think would make you happy. I'm willing to do this. Now, he might spend more time building the shared vision with her for the future. But his effort is, let's find a compromise. And compromise can be beautiful when both of you can promise that you'll stay committed to what you say. Very important in every relationship, because there's compromise, right? Be it your marriage, your partnership, your friendship, there's compromise. It's where you both promise that you'll stay committed to what you say. And so I think for this couple, and I wish them the very best. She hasn't given the ring back, so that's promising. But I wish them the very best, and I hope that they will consider those key considerations that we shared earlier. I hope that they will come up with proposed solutions. The key considerations we shared very briefly were shared vision for the future. That's the first thing I think is the most important thing, I think. And I think with any relationship, if you're going into a relationship and you're riding on the strength of the attraction, you're riding on the whirlwind of the romance, slow down and start to write down the vision for the future and make sure you can share it, that you both are aligned on what you want out of the relationship. It's the number one thing that people don't do. They go in thinking, well, you're going to want this because I want this, or you're going to do this because I'm going to do this. No. Go into the relationship and say, what can we align on that we both want out of this? I need you to be honest with me. And if that man says, oh, I just want this, and he said, well, that doesn't align, so we can't do that, right? But if you go in saying, I hope this happens, I hope this comes to pass, I hope this, well, I thought we would get married because we are living together. Is that the shared vision you had for the future? Or did you all just kind of fall into moving in together? So the shared vision for the future, I think, is first and foremost, the most important. Then the boundaries versus support. Can you set new boundaries when you want community and he doesn't? So that it doesn't look like enablement, but it's truly support because it's time bound, to make sure that you don't hinder the growth of those that you are meaning to help. And then financial and emotional balance. So those are the three key considerations that I think are important. And then those proposed solutions, develop a transitional plan, or make a multi-layered mutual living agreement that's intergenerational. It works for some communities. You have to determine whether it would, and the trial period for the rental property. Those are possibilities. And I think love should make you explore the possibilities that bring you a promise that you both can keep. I just want to stop for a second and tell you that the Gratefulness Journey every day is available. And here is MJ from Shies of Sunset to share a little bit about it.
Marcus, I want to congratulate you on Love and Stuff. I really want you to know that staying grateful and understanding the power of what it is to be operating out of a space of abundance and gratitude is the most important part of every journey of every day. So Marcus June, congratulations on this book. It's on Amazon now. That makes me so proud of you and your family and me and my family, and every single person around us gets it. So good on you for bringing it into the hands and the laps and the Kindles of all the people. Okay, so we're gonna check it out. Can't wait to learn more.
Thank you so much, MJ. MJ's husband is on a journey of improving his temperament. He was having anger issues, and a part of his anger management, using the principles of gratefulness and gratitude, have changed the game for him. And I want to invite you, if you have trauma, if you have situation, circumstances. Thank you. Situation, circumstances that you feel that are overwhelming. The practice of gratefulness is a powerful tool. The gratefulness journey every day is available. It's a page or two out of my personal journey through loss and grief and trauma and some other things that happened, and how through that I've learned about this principle of gratefulness. And gratefulness is really the in the moment, awe-inspiring feeling of being grateful. And there's so much science around how your brain can literally be rewired by using and practicing gratefulness. How the pathways, the neural pathways and networks in your brain can literally be rewired from practicing gratefulness. It's 3 things you're grateful for, speaking them aloud 3 times in the day, and sharing them with 3 people. It's all about gratefulness. Okay. And it's a powerful practice. So I invite you to get the gratefulness journey every day. And I also invite you to consider any of the products that we have in our store, the Love More 24 products that we have, cotton t-shirts. Now we're going into the crew neck sweater season. All of our products available on the Stan store. Available on the Shopify store, including our Love and Stuff original Love and Stuff gear that comes in t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, all of those things. Definitely want you to consider picking those up as well. All right, we're at 9:33. I'm so grateful that you're here. I hope that you will click share, tag others to join in this conversation. I think it's an important conversation to be had. There are many people entering into relationships and not having a shared vision for the future. Now, if that's you, stop in the midst of that whirlwind. If you get a 3-carat ring, 4-carat, whatever carat, take a moment and make sure that the two of you are on the same page on the vision for your future. Whether that future includes community, stability, peace, whatever is included. Take the time with your partner to have a shared vision for the love that you want to go off into the sunsets on. And it will help you to build the kind of relationship, the kind of relational muscle that will carry you through high times, low times, and all family times. I'm Marcus Holmes. This is Love and Stuff. And I'm telling you, I absolutely love and feel honored that you would come and spend some time with me on Tuesday at 8:30. Next Tuesday, we close out our 4-part series as we go into this election cycle. This is so much serious business. And I'm so thankful for the Love of Justice team of Valerie Colbert-Osamwede, Brenda Braceful, Byron Stanfield, Pastor Darren Williams, and Dr. Valencia Etner. They have been a phenomenal group of panelists to discuss everything from shoring up the candidates. We took a look at the candidates. We took a look at Project 2025. We talked about why this election is so critical. And on this Tuesday coming, we want to talk to you about making sure you have an action plan to get you and your family to the polls. And if you haven't taken advantage in the states where there is early voting, shout out to Georgia for doing it. But we want you to connect with your family in the battleground states so that you can help them get a plan to get to the poll. We don't want anybody in your circle of love saying, I'm going to sit this one out. We can't afford anybody to sit this one out. And we want to make sure that your family, your kinfolk are present in these battleground states, those who live in these battleground states, and they understand that we are really counting on them to join us in the walk to the poll. And we want everybody to lift every voice and vote. So we'll see you next Tuesday with the For the Love of Justice team to talk about those swing states and talk about practical things that you can do and tell your family members to do and tell people to help seniors get there and the young people to get there so that we get there to the plane of democracy that this nation has never fully delivered, but we must demand it. We must demand it. This great experiment, as some may have said, we must mix together the right chemicals so that we move this experiment of democracy forward. All right. See you soon. I appreciate all of you. 7 minutes beyond, but I think it was a good reason to have 7 minutes more. Thank you so much for being here.